All right. Hey, what's going on, pretty babies? What's going on? All right. Let's wait a couple of seconds here. I see we're still connecting on a few outlets. So, what did y'all think about Raw tonight? You know, while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and let's put up a poll. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's put up a poll real quick here, because I want to know what you guys had thought about the show. I don't really think we really need a poll. I really don't think we need a poll for this week, but I'm going to go ahead and do the poll anyway. All right, so we're going to do this poll exclusively on YouTube, and we'll just say, what did you think? Keep it short and sweet. Think about this week's WWE Raw. And plain and simple. We'll do thumbs up, and we'll do a thumbs down. Nothing in between. Simple as that. Thumbs up, thumbs down. All right, so that's posted right now on the YouTube channel over on the community section. So just head on over there and you can cast your vote that way. And let me do one other thing here. All right, I see we're still waiting to connect to one other outlet. So let me just, I think honestly by the time I'm done, just checking the back end here for one of the streaming outlets, we're pretty much going to be rocking and rolling here. So let me activate that, and let me activate that. And yeah, right when I said that, all right, we finally connected to our last streaming outlet. All right, so we're good to go. Let's go ahead and let's officially start the show now. All right. Audio check. What's my baseline here? 1, 2, 3. All right, good. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hey, what is going on, guys and girls? You're checking out a new The RCWR show. This is episode number 875. You heard me right. Episode number 875. Covering the very latest in all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Here we are for November 1st, Monday night of November 1st, 2021. Here we are, November. It's already here. I cannot believe how fast, and I know I have said it repeatedly this year, but really for me at least, can't speak for you all, but for me at least, the calendar year of 2021 has been going by so fast. It's not even funny. I mean, just really stop and think about that. We're about 3.5 weeks away from Thanksgiving. And then from that point, we are essentially 8 weeks away from wrapping up this whole year of 2021. Just crazy when you stop and think about that. I mean, it really has been a fast year, man. I tell you what, I hope your weekend was fantastic. I hope for those of you that are parents, or maybe you were babysitting during the weekend, spending time with that nephew, that godson or goddaughter, or what have you. You had a little one and you were doing the whole trick-or-treating. Hopefully it was fun. Most importantly, it was safe. I know a lot of people are trying to get back into the normalcy of things before the pandemic had broke out. I know it had sidelined, the pandemic that is, it sidelined the hell out of Halloween for last year. So a lot of things was being done remote, virtually, and all of that. And I got to tell you, leading into Halloween, I ran into a lot of customers, mainly adults. Believe it or not, it was the adults that were more excited for Halloween. I even spoke with those that did not have kids, but were just so excited at the idea of seeing kids in really cool costumes coming up, knocking on their door, and they're able to take the pictures of the costumes and share it on social media and all of that, the whole interaction part. Of course, the dispense of the candy. So many adults were looking forward to this. I got to say, because I own my own home and I live in a very quiet suburban residential neighborhood. I gotta tell you, compared to before the pandemic, I don't know how it was for you guys that's homeowners as well. Let me know. But at least in my respected neck of the woods, there were, compared to the year prior, before the pandemic, there were a lot of homes in my neighborhood that were not celebrating Halloween this year. And normally you got the trademark houses that normally do put up, I mean, they go the whole 9 yards, put up the decorations and everything. And none of that stuff was visible this year. None of that stuff was visible this weekend. So maybe next year, I don't know. But from a few people that I spoke with, I know a family member of ours, friend of the family, I should say, but they're essentially family as far as I'm concerned, because my wife has known them for so long, and they pretty much have adopted me as family per se. But her son had a birthday. He's 10 years old. Shout out to the little guy. They went to a place called, I think, the Fourth Dimension or the Fifth Dimension. I'm sure you guys probably know a thing or two about that. It's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese, but cooler, if you know what I'm talking about, if you know what I mean. So they did that. I sadly was not able to go because I actually got my booster shot of the COVID-19 vaccination. Yes, I actually had got my booster shot over the weekend. And look, without being long-winded, because I know before when it came to the other shots, I definitely told you guys what all was going on symptom-wise and everything. And I know this go round you could pretty much mix and match, but I decided not to do that. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, wow, Lee, how are you able to get your booster shot? If you haven't been staying on top of the news and everything, you really got to just take time out of your schedule when you're at work, on your way to school, whatever, and just go online, do the research in your own respected city, state, county. And basically the way I was able to, is because I deal with public on an everyday basis. And I'm essentially in the essential worker category. And then also on top of that, I've got somewhat of a weak immune system. That's definitely been diagnosed. I also have type 2 diabetes. So all of those things combined is why I was able to get the green light to get the booster shot and everything. But I did not do the mix and match. For those of you that might be a little bit curious, I just said, nah, you know what? Even though some of the reports that's being put out there, they're saying, look, it's okay to mix and match. If anything, your immune system is even stronger as a result of mixing and matching. I just said, nah, you know what? I'm good. I even told the nurse that was giving me the booster shot, I said, I know I can mix and match. I said, but honestly, I've been all right, minus the side effects these past 2 times with the Moderna shot. I'm just going to ride it out with this booster shot of Moderna. And she was like, oh, well, what symptoms have you been having, Mr. Sanders? And I told her, and she was like, okay, so yeah, that's typical with the Moderna. That's what we've been hearing for people that's been getting those shots of Moderna. Now, for those of you that missed out the recap of what went down, basically my symptoms when getting the Moderna each time, and it happened this go round as well, fatigue, a lot of fatigue, definitely, tired, a little bit nauseated, definitely a swelling of the arm where I got the shot, particularly in the area where I got the shot. I also was dealing with stiffness in the arm and very sleepy. So I definitely, luckily, I'm off work for the next couple of days. So luckily, and I don't have classes, at least not this week. I don't have classes this week. And luckily, I was able to pretty much bypass, anything weird where, okay, I'm going to have to go to work or I'm behind the wheel. And because the last 2 times I had got the shot and I had to go to work the next day, it wasn't a pretty sight. Let me tell you, it was not a pretty sight. I was able to make it through those shifts. I have no clue, guys and girls, but somehow I made it through those shifts. But no, I had like a couple of days off. And I said, no, let me go ahead and get this booster shot. So I'm going through the motions right now. Yesterday, I would say, was pretty bad. It creeped up on me, I would say, probably after about 3, maybe 4 hours. And all I slept mostly all day Sunday. I slept practically all day today. I finally did not wake up for the day. Really, I had a bite to eat earlier. I was probably awake for like about maybe 2-3 hours. But I pretty much slept nonstop. So I'm just telling you guys, what you can expect if you are one of those that's like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting the booster shot, especially if you're thinking about the Moderna, to each its own. But, I did deal with symptoms again. as a result of going with the Moderna booster shot. So FYI. But other than that, my weekend, pretty good, fantastic. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things as far as being back home, getting back into the regular rotation, if you will. And as you guys know, I had did the Chris Jericho cruise. By the way, shout out to my friends, my podcast amigos, and Don Tony from the Don Tony Show. Shout out to my good friend and Jason Solomon Monster Sounds Off. They had showed me a lot of love and sharing on their respected shows of my experience with the Chris Jericho cruise and everything. I really appreciated them going out of their way to put that over. Especially Jason. I loved hearing Jason mention the fact that I documented my first time flying ever and everything, and it just kind of made me smile. It was kind of a crazy experience, I tell you what. But if you did not get a chance to check out my Chris Jericho cruise experience, I have a written up review that's available on the 411 Mania website. Just search under the wrestling category. You can even search in the column category as well. Or on that site, you can just type in Sanders and you can see pretty much all the articles I've written thus far. And that's one of the first articles that you'll come across when you type in Sanders in the search bar there at the 411 Mania site. I also have a video blog up on the YouTube channel as well, where you guys can see not only me, but you can see picture slides. You can see a little bit of video presentation as well from the cruise. And I've had a few people that have reached out to me privately, even those that remember talking to me on the cruise. Definitely those that turns out was on the cruise and I didn't know until it was time to disembark because the signal was pretty spotty out there. It was pretty bad out there. Like, dude, you were on the cruise? Like, yeah, I was on the cruise. We could have got a drink. We could have hung out. Like, yeah. I've had so many people. Are you doing the cruise? Are you doing the next cruise? I'm like, I'm on the fence right now. Like, I'm going to think about it, but I am going to do my best to actually go on the next Jericho cruise. Right down to the point, it looks like there is a pre-sale that's getting ready to launch on November 2nd. And pretty much, FYI, for those of you that's been thinking about going, one thing that's kind of cool about taking advantage of this pre-sale that's going on, a pre-book right now, a pre-booking opportunity, is if you pre-book November 2nd on, you will get a huge commemorative flag that you can take and have everybody sign. I don't know if it's going to be kind of like the size of the CM Punk commemorative flag. You guys know exactly the flag that I'm talking about with the taped up fists and everything. And remember when CM Punk had first popped up in AEW, they had it on the Pro Wrestling Tees site for a hot minute, but it got sold out real freaking quick. I don't know if it's going to be quite that big of a flag that they're going to be doing, but they're definitely going to be offering a commemorative flag. And then you also will get an opportunity to have a professional photo taken with Chris Jericho as part of the pre-book, as part of the pre-sale opportunities. So that's kind of nice to look forward to. And I gotta say, I've actually seen some of the pictures that people were able to take with Jericho. Very personable, meaning he was very intimate in the photos that he was taking with people. He's putting his arms around them, holding whatever props they were giving to him, the whole 9 yards, professionally shot, just like the photos that were taken with Kurt Angle there. So I'm definitely going to do my best to go on this next cruise. I'm looking at the pre-book sale that's going to be opening up on November 2nd. Now, it looks like general public is going to be on November 18th. FYI for you guys. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys that took the time out. You checked out my reviews. Those that were just asking me, oh my God, you went on a cruise. What? Like, hopefully I'll see some of you guys the next go around. There's already a couple of people that I've been talking to that's been saying, yeah, we definitely, if you're going to go, let me know, we'll hook up, we'll grab some drinks, we'll do this, we'll hang out, so I'm already kind of making plans. I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff that I did not do on the cruise that I wanted to do. One of the top things that I had wanted to do was go rock climbing. Actually, on the cruise, they have a little rock climbing section. I forgot on what floor, but they got it set up. It's only available during a certain period though. Like it's a small window. I think it goes from 10 in the morning until noon, and it's like 2 levels basically. And I missed out on that because normally it was interfering with either a meet and greet or there's something else that was always going on. And so it was like, that's just one of the activities that I had looked forward to doing. So, yeah. Also, shout out to our Patreon members as well. Our Patreon members been very kind and supportive of us as well. Appreciate them as always. Shout out to our sponsors as well. Look, Raw went off the air. By the way, we do have a poll up on the YouTube channel. Go over to the community section, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab, asking you guys, what did you think about Raw for this week? Looking at the early votes that's trickled in so far, because this poll went up about, to the point, that we're live right now. There's still no votes yet. So, you guys go ahead, sound off, cast your vote. And I wanted to do a Twitter poll too, but I thought, no, you know what? Let's switch it up. We'll do every other week. We'll do 2 polls for YouTube and for Twitter. And then next week, we'll maybe do a poll just exclusively for our community channel members. So this week, we're going the latter. So sound off. Let me know what you guys had thought about Raw. But for me, I thought it was a so-so episode this week. It's funny too, because when I was doing the cruise, I heard so many people talk about how disappointed they were with the whole season premiere of Monday Night Raw, and there really wasn't that pop, that sizzle, that excitement, that buzz that was going into the season premiere of Raw, that pretty much it was just the same old. And now that I had the option, I could have easily... And my wife was picking my brain on this too when we got back in town from the cruise. She was like, man, you missed out on so much wrestling content while we were away. Are you going to try to catch up and watch any of it? And I said to her, I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot to watch. It'd be one thing if I'm going to be watching it and, I'm going to be, maybe talking about it on the show. Or do I watch it just to, okay, I watched it, I'm up to date, I know what's what, but then it's kind of like, nah, you know what, so much time has gone past. And sadly, when it comes to the podcasting world, the listeners generally, they are on the next thing. It's one thing if you're trying to tackle something that is 1 day, 2 days old, hell, even 3 days old. But, my golden rule of the thumb is anything past 3 days, majority of the audience, they already know they're on to the next thing. So for me, it was just kind of one of those, clean slate. I'm not going to even bother watching all the stuff that I had missed. Let's just go into the next week and let's see what's up. And I got to tell you, fresh off of their season premiere episode from last week, I got to tell you, I see why some people were, not necessarily complaining, but just, same old. Yeah, this episode was pretty meh for this week, I have to say. Right down to the point, there's no reason why we need to be talking about WWE RAW for almost an hour. We can just honestly go over the key points. This is going to be like one of the quickest recaps of WWE RAW we've done in quite some time, because I definitely want to get into the news there that came about with Ring of Honor for this past week. Some sad, unfortunate news there of Ring of Honor. I definitely want to sound off about that for the very first time. And we got some AEW news as well. I'll give you guys some news about that in just a hot minute, because I know they did a new Dark Elevation earlier tonight on YouTube and everything. Look, the opening match of Raw between Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship, I thought that match was a good opener. I couldn't help but wonder, maybe we could have closed out the show and that could have actually been the main event. But seeing how things had panned out with the main event, because that was my number one question once I saw we had Becky Lynch and Bianca kicking off the show. It was, okay, well, if we're going to do this, then how exactly are we going to be closing out the show, what's going to be in the main event spot. And I figured Biggie was going to somehow be incorporated in there. I just couldn't quite put my finger on under what circumstances and everything. So now when I look back on things in retrospect, look, I give WWE credit. They went in pretty strong there with the Raw opener. Girls did a good match as far as I was concerned. I wasn't particularly a fan of seeing Becky Lynch retain the Raw Women's Championship because I still feel that Bianca Belair, I've always felt that, okay, if you're not going to go the heel route with her, then at least having a really good heel that Bianca could chase after as a babyface would suffice. And I just felt that was a story that WWE was trying to tell here. But despite the good match that these girls had tonight, make no mistake about it, we are now going in a different direction as far as a future challenger goes for Becky Lynch, because it looks as though Bianca Belair is no more. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Honestly, look, the match itself between the girls tonight, it definitely gave me a Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair vibe. It definitely gave me that vibe from WrestleMania. It definitely gave me that vibe. I love the athleticism that was going on in this match. I love the test of power that was being showcased by Belair in this match. I gotta say though, I popped with laughter at one point early on in the match when Bianca Belair was doing a bunch of grappling holds on Becky, and I just loved how she pretty much, I mean, she was almost going Greco-Roman style, if you will, amateur wrestling hour on Becky Lynch early on in the match. And she was just getting behind Becky, and she was just doing these nice takedowns. And I just remember at one point, keep in mind the outfit that Becky was wearing tonight, and she's kind of wearing her trademark black ring attire. And at one point, you see Bianca Belair, she gets behind Becky and got a nice little grapple hold around her and everything, trying to do the takedown. And you just see this black thing that is just in between Becky's legs. And I just howled with laughter because I thought I was looking at a big old black dick. That was just, and look, before anybody goes, Lee, you sick. Anybody that's got Raw still on their DVR, go back and watch the first 5 minutes of this match and watch the guys that are in the first 2 to 3 rows. Look to what's going to be your respected left, kind of to your left side of the screen. You're going to see these guys. They're going to be busting up laughing right at the part that I'm talking about. So I was not the only one that was like, what the fuck is going on there? Especially when you think about Becky Lynch and this armor, right? And we remember the infamous, who cut the promo there on Becky Lynch where they were saying something along the lines of, yeah, you like doing that submission hold there because it makes you feel like a man. I can't remember who. I want to say maybe it was Ronda, but I'm not really sure because they basically were trying to insinuate, you wish you were the man. Look at your finisher and what's going on there. Well, by having that arm in between your legs like that, we know what you really want to be. It was like somebody was taking a shot at her some years back on that. Can't remember who it was, but it feels like maybe it was Ronda. But yeah, when you look at that spot that went down tonight, I don't know about you, but I howled with laughter. But putting that to the side, that little spot there, that was ha ha ha, yakety yak yak. Good match between these girls overall. Definitely got to give them their respected props. The ending, though, I gotta say that teach its own, but for me, the ending was a bit of a shocker because I was expecting 2 scenarios to come about. I was expecting for there to be a title change or some type of fuckery involved where these girls were going to meet up again in the main event match of the night, or maybe we were going to hear some type of an announcement where there was going to be a rematch and it was going to go down that Survivor Series, and it was going to be a case of Bianca, this is it. You don't get the job done at Survivor Series, that's it. For as long as Becky Lynch is the Raw Women's Champion, that's it. You can't compete for the title. I was ready to hear something along those lines of scenarios tonight. So the fact that none of that happened, and Becky Lynch pretty much with the roll up, handful of tights on Bianca to retain the title in about almost a 20-minute match. Okay. Now, what we see later on in the night, we see Becky in an interview, backstage interview, and she's talking about, how she dominated there on Bianca and how the fans are not supporting her like they used to. And that's honestly because they were with her when it came to her rise, or mediocre rise, but now that she's on top, she's saying the fans don't like her anymore. They can't relate to her anymore. And, she recognizes that, but hey, it is what it is. She's going to keep doing her, and she's ready for whatever next challenge or challengers are to come. She's anticipating who's going to be stepping up to the plate to face her for the championship. And at that point, Liv Morgan, just out of nowhere, Liv Morgan, not a word said, just pops up. Becky looks at her and walks off. Yo, look, honestly, Liv Morgan's been growing on me, man. The girl's been really busting her ass, putting in the time. She's really been putting in the work. And I really, really love what's been going on with Liv Morgan. I got to be honest. There was a period there where, think about it. There was a period there where you go back to the Riot Squad days, and there was a period there where you're looking at it, you're going, oh, yeah, for sure, Ruby, hands down, yeah. And, for what it was worth, a lot of people were looking at, what's Homegirl's name? I can't think of her name right now. Sarah Logan, was it? A lot of people were also looking at Sarah Logan and respecting for a lot of big things to happen to her. And as far as the weakest link, Liv Morgan was the one that was, yeah, you're the odd man out, yo. Definitely you're the odd man out. And it's just amazing how, now look, for whatever respected reasons, Ruby just never, we all can admit that. Sarah Logan, that was just, whoa, but you just kind of saw a little something there in Liv Morgan, but you were just, honestly, I don't know. You were either waiting for her to really start piecing everything together, stringing everything together, and just, or a case where, all right, well, maybe if we can just kind of get through the weeds here a little bit, because at that point, not for nothing, you had so many women as it was, and the main focal point was on but a select few women. But it seems that Liv Morgan has really flourished. And I got to tell you, I really like how the fans have just quietly, over these past several months, been really getting behind her and everything. It feels very organic is the point that I'm making. Very organic, as opposed to maybe the stuff that was going on there with Lana. No shade, no disrespect to Lana. Look, we all know the stuff that she was going through when we looked at that 24/7 documentary special on her. And look, the bullying that she was receiving. And, I get that. It's one thing to offer constructive criticism. It's one thing to, well, yeah, I didn't particularly care for that because, and you explain the reasons why, but to just be shitting on a person, right? Especially when you take it to the level of a personal attack. You don't even know these people, and all you're really talking about is someone that you see playing a character on TV on a weekly basis, and the lines are obscured here. Your realities are, right, you're taking a little too far when you're, so I get where Lana was coming from during that special when some of the stuff that was being said to her, she really took it to heart. I get that. I sympathize with her. But look, putting that to the side, right? I think even maybe she did some soul searching maybe she could definitely admit that, yeah, there definitely were some parts there in my early WWE career where, yeah, I kind of really had no business being in this position. Yeah, I tried to make the best out of it, but, yada, 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 but some of the stuff that was going on with Lana later in her career, particularly when it came to the in-ring stuff, her being an in-ring worker, all of that just felt extremely forced. The stuff with Lashley, Miro / Rusev, just all of that just felt so forced. Yeah, you had a couple of bright spots, but all of that just felt so forced. And then, the tail end of Lana's career there with the in-ring stuff, all of that just so, whereas you look at what's going on with Liv Morgan, and it's like, wow, I'm just, when you really take a step back and you just look at it over, it's been pretty amazing how just organically Liv Morgan has been getting over with the fans. Look, if ultimately it's going to be Lana and Becky for the title, I think that's actually going to be pretty damn good. Honestly, it's actually going to be pretty good. Another decent little matchup, Rey Mysterio taking on Austin Theory. This match ended as a result of Dominic slapping Theory in the face while he thought the ref was not paying attention, as Ray came in with the 619 and then the splash hit, but the referee called for a DQ, as he did kind of catch little Dominic there in a big no-no, and that's how Austin Theory was awarded the victory. Look, it did a couple of things here, the way this match had went down. On the one hand, Theory gets another victory, even if it's via DQ. Excuse me, Theory gets another victory. On the other hand, the flip side to this coin, you've also continued the further diverge of father and son as far as their relationship goes. You've thrown another dagger in there. So it's nice to see the continuation from the foundation that was laid out over on SmackDown continue over to Monday Night Raw. Remember, we have been seeing Ray really lay heavy into his son these past several months, and it almost has that Godfather type of vibe to it. When you think from this standpoint, sometimes the way Ray treats his son Dominic is, let's be honest, especially those of you that are familiar with the Godfather franchise, he kind of treats Dominic like Fredo in The Godfather. You remember the infamous scene, Fredo's, hey, I'm smart, I can do things, all I needed was a chance, and right? And so it's starting off as a son that's trying to make his father proud. And yes, obviously, as the son is moving along in his own respected wrestling career, he is going to have some slip-ups. He's going to have some very teachable moments. It's not going to be flawless. It's not. And the constant badgering, nitpicking, really not being truly supportive of his son as he once used to be. Yeah, I definitely see the writing on the wall as far as everything blowing up in Ray's face. And I've been wanting to see this for a good minute now, of Dominic turning on Ray here. So they got a lot accomplished here in this match when you really look past just the match itself here tonight. Decent little matchup for what it was worth. Decent little matchup here. See, what else did we get on here? We got a nice little setup for the main event match where Seth Rollins and Biggie, they were exchanging words, and Kevin Owens comes out. Kevin Owens is trying to remind the entire WWE universe why Monday night is Owens, why he is still the man. This was so weird. I gotta say, look, on the one hand, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to do their best to, reestablish Kevin Owens and everything. And especially when you think about the rumblings that's going on with his contract. And look, we really don't know when it's all said and done. You got these silly little rumors that's out there. We really don't know. You just kind of have to take some of that stuff that you're hearing with a grain of salt and just pretty much roll with that and everything. But we basically see a match that gets set up for later on in the night. And the main event match is basically Biggie taking on Kevin Owens. Owens looking to prove himself, not just to Biggie, not just to Seth Rollins, but to the entire WWE universe that, hey, look, I got what it takes. I'm capable of, being the future face of Monday Night Raw and everything. And, I like seeing this side of Kevin Owens, because not for nothing, there definitely was that fun little period in time when it came to the Kevin Owens show. Yeah, it was actually some pretty solid moments and everything. Honestly, the Kevin Owens show, I'll be honest, the Kevin Owens show has been on shaky ground since the Festival of Jericho. Let's be honest. There was a really great golden opportunity right there to do something really, really special. And it just went so, yeah, straight up. Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash losing to Carmella and Zelina Vega. It was about maybe a 7 minute match, give or take. Tag division is just very, very lacking right now. Very, very lacking right now. I will say this. I do like the fact that Zelina was the one that got the pin in this matchup. After all, she did win the Queen of the Ring little tournament there and all that. So that's kind of cool and everything. I kind of feel as though now that these girls and Carmella Vega got this W over the tag champions, okay, going down the pipeline, maybe as early as Survivor Series, maybe we're going to see something here. We gotta start really bringing this home, though, in regards to this women's tag division, because Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash, what it reminds me a lot of, especially if you've been paying attention to the NXT product. It reminds me so much of the Zoe Stark, Io Shirai tag team that was running around for a hot little bit. And we know how very lackluster that reign ended up being, do we not? That was very, very, and nothing blossomed out of it in a way where you're going, okay, so ultimately, all right, they lost these tag titles, but let's look at the bigger picture here, because look at how both girls are being positioned now. Now, of course, things could change when we go into this week's NXT, because remember, we're going to be pretty much a week removed from the Halloween Havoc Takeover special. So things could change, but if you're just kind of been following the structure layout of NXT so far, it just, okay, they just, yeah, all right, it happened. Title change, whoopee-doo, right? I am just looking at Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley, and I just feel that as far as a poor misuse of a young up-and-comer on your roster, just the way that they have been doing Rhea Ripley so far has just been very non-effective. Non-effective is the words that I want to use. And it's quite sad, honestly. It's quite sad, because it's like night and day. It is like night and day. When you think about what she was doing on NXT, looking at what she's been doing on Raw, night and day. Chad Gable taking on Finn Balor. By the way, shout out to Chad Gable. I love hearing, and I really wish that it would get enough praise. Because, we're always so focused on the doom and gloom. We're always so focused on talking about negative things that's going on in the world. When it comes to something that's of positive energy, when it comes to spreading positivity, we don't really do enough of that as a society. You know, we like the sensationalism. We're really heavy into that a lot. But shout out to Chad Gable, because Chad Gable, when he had posted it on his Instagram account, he has a degree. He got a degree from Full Sail University. And I'm trying to remember what his major was in. It'll come to me in a little bit, but this is something where he graduated from Full Sail University as a valedictorian, and he earned a master's degree in the fine arts. You know, this guy was very passionate about animation, video production, and like all of that stuff. And when the pandemic had hit, think about that for a second. Just seriously, marinate on that for a little bit. While the pandemic was in full force and he had more free time on his hands, he decided, okay, you know what? I know this pro wrestling thing, it's not forever. I got to have something that I can fall back on. I got to have something that I don't need to worry about shit from a physical standpoint. What can I do with my mind? What can I do with my hands? And what can I do that will financially have me set for the rest of my life and have my family essentially taken care of? And so he decided, something that he's been passionate about since he was a kid. And it was, okay, well, let me go ahead and let me get my Master of Fine Arts degree. And that's exactly what he did. 4.0, grade average. I mean, congrats, sincerely, congrats to Chad Gable for that accomplishment. Surely that sounds very familiar to you guys. Surely there is somebody that whether it's on a personal level or you know of them through maybe a friend or an associate where, oh yeah, this person, they decided they wanted to go back to school because, does that not sound like somebody that so many people found themselves during this pandemic saying, okay, if there was ever a time to try and grow better as a individual, like this is the time, why not now? I mean, hell, when the shit went down with the pandemic, I found myself in that position and saying, okay, you know what? I want to be in a better position where financially I'm able to take care of my family. I want to be in a position where I really love the career path that I choose and that, I feel that I can really thrive in and everything. And I found myself going back to school to pursue my bachelor's in broadcast media. And so you just hear this. I love stories like this. I really, really do. I really, really love stories like this. So again, congrats to Chad Gable, graduating from Full Sail University, valedictorian, 4.0 grade average, just crushing it. Also shout out to Titus O'Neil. Gotta give him a shout out as well. Apparently down in Florida, he's always been doing a lot of work there in Florida, always trying to pay it forward. And I love that. I love folks that do their very best to give back to the community, pay it forward to the next generation and everything. He's always done a lot of great humanitarian work, especially down there in the Florida area where he's from. There is a school that's actually going to be named after him. So, I heard that. I said, wow. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty damn good. I love hearing these positive stories that's floating around. It's sad because, we're not going to, see enough of this be on websites, be talked about on podcasts, blogs, things of that nature. It's quite sad. But yeah, the Titus O'Neil Thaddeus M. Ballard Academy looks like they pretty much are the guys that's going to be behind this. So I think that's really, really cool. I mean, he's a WWE global ambassador. And he's got this school named after him. I mean, how cool is that? Seriously, how cool is that? But that's the name. He attended the opening of the Thaddeus M. Ballard Academy at the Slight Middle Magnet School earlier today. So how about that? That's badass. I love that. That is fucking badass. So congrats to both of those guys. In regards to some other WWE Raw talk, we were talking about Chad Gable there before we got into all of that. Chad Gable, solid little matchup there with Finn Balor. Nice little one-on-one matchup they had. Short little bit of time that they had, because I mean, it was just a quick cup of coffee. But I tell you what, they really worked very hard in this very short match that they had. Packed a lot of punch to it. Definitely had packed a lot of punch into it. Balor picking up the win. You know, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. He's got to start building up the W's, right? Sooner or later, he's got to start building up the W's. So this was actually pretty good. You know what? I loved how this came about too, because this match came about as a result of Chad Gable coming across Big E backstage and saying to him, look, I graduated from college past 7 days. Look at what I've done for the career of Otis. You join me, I can help take you to even better heights than where you're already at right now. And Big E really wasn't feeling that. So Gable said to him, all right, well, don't believe me. Just watch what I do against Finn Balor. And it pretty much backfired. Blew up in his face big time. Randy Orton and our boy, what's his face, Riddle, they were on commentating for the next matchup. Street Profits taking on Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode. They finally meshed up Randy Orton and Riddle's theme entrance, and most fascinating. That's how I'm gonna leave it. That's not a good thing, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. You go out of your way on YouTube. I'm sure somebody's probably posted it by now. Nice little match from what we saw here. Nice little match. Street Profits continuing to look pretty impressive. The opportunities that they're getting here, but decent little matchup. Post-match, Omos takes out the Profits and Riddle. Very little effort. Orton is pretty fired up, but nothing really crazy goes down after that. So, yeah. Damian Priest defeats T-Bar. I finally managed to hear this new entrance theme of Damian Priest. Why change something that was working? This new theme that he has, it just feels like it is for a completely different superstar. I gotta say, a completely different superstar. I'm not really feeling this new theme, but it is what it is. We're stuck with it. We got to get used to it. Look, I'll take that than the new Keith Lee Bearcat theme. That Bearcat theme, I heard what you guys were complaining about, and let me tell you something. I've never heard a Bearcat sound like that. I've never heard a Bearcat go. I mean, it sounds like it's trying to gargle, cough up a hairball or something. They got to tweak that a little bit more. Bearcat lead theme entrance. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. I got nothing else I want to say in regards to that. I'm just going to keep it moving along here. Decent little match for what it was worth. Damian Priest, T-Bar. It was about 12 minutes. This was really just about showcasing Priest and what he can do there. T-Bar, though, you know, you could almost make an argument here. He had almost a coming to Jesus type of moment in this matchup that he had, because not for nothing, but we were seeing shades of Dijakovic from NXT. And honestly, that was a guy that a lot of people were really, really getting behind. And they just did this whole 180 on the man, which was crazy. Post-match, Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz came out and said that they're there to breathe new life into the Raw product. Crews says Priest will have the chance to meet him in combat, and when he does, Priest will lose that United States Championship. So pretty obvious where we're going to be going with that one there. Main event match, non-title matchup, Biggie taking on Kevin Owens. About a little over 10 minutes of a matchup there. Biggie picking up the W there with a reverse effort that went into a crucifix to help give him the W here. Good match. Rollins, the real story here, though, was Seth Rollins, because Rollins tried to make a deal with Kevin Owens, which was, look, I'm going to be out there for your match, and, look, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And Kevin Owens pretty much told him, look, I appreciate wanting to scratch my back and everything, but I'm looking to go out there and prove a point. You even try to interfere in my matchup, you and me gonna have some personal problems. And Rollins told him straight up, okay, look, your whole motto is fight Owens, fight. Well, we see what that's gotten you so far. While you keep on fighting, I just keep on winning. So, yeah, you don't want my help. Okay, it is what it is, right? So, yeah, it's kind of one of those kind of moments right there. Now, Rollins was a factor in this match towards the end, as Rollins did hit Big E with a cheap shot. Owens clearly saw this and tried to go in for the cover, only, kick out, got reversed basically. And post-match, Big E, he catches the replay and asks why Owens tried to cover him after Rollins clearly jumped in and tried to help him cheat and everything. Owens tried to swear that he didn't know what happened and he was kind of half knocked out. He is trying to blame Rollins and says to Rollins, yo, I got a receipt. I'm going to cash on your ass. You and me, we're not done yet. Big E decides, yeah, whatever. He's trying to roll out. He ain't trying to have any of it. But Kevin Owens is going out of his way to continue to apologize to Big E again and again, right down to the point he actually physically stops him from leaving the ring. Big E's pretty much had enough. Hits him with the big ending. That pretty much ended the show. I would imagine that Big E, Owens, not done by a long shot. And look, honestly, if we're kind of getting to that point there where maybe we're going to see a heel Kevin Owens return, I don't know about you all, but I personally wouldn't have any problem with that whatsoever. I gladly would welcome the return of heel Kevin Owens, because that was the Owens that for me was the most fun watching, quite honestly. Further stirring the pot there between Owens and Raw. Look, and that should be a damn good matchup. We know at this point that's most likely going to be going down at the Survivor Series pay-per-view. So, that's pretty good. So a couple of decent little matches of Raw tonight. I would say slightly above average of an episode tonight. Definitely gets a thumbs down, but I definitely would say a slightly above average episode. Hey, you guys been enjoying the show so far? If you haven't done so already, make sure you go out of your way and you hit that thumbs up. When you hit that thumbs up, you're doing your part in helping this channel on YouTube particularly grow more and more, reach out to more newcomers, make our content be more discoverable. I know sometimes we get haters and they think that by leaving the dislikes, that's going to hurt. Actually, that gets factored into the discoverability of our content as well. So you're still helping us out either way. I just hope that, in the cases of getting dislikes, we're actually told by a comment being left, okay, hey, this is good. Work out in these few areas. Don't mind reading the constructive feedback, constructive criticism. Don't mind that whatsoever, as long as solutions are being offered rather than just try to be complaining or whatever. And I saw we've been picking up some new subs since we've been away. Love that. Appreciate those of you that are new to the content. And anybody that catches our shows live and you happen to hit the subscribe button, you get to see your little name pop up on the screen, you get a shout out, all that good stuff to keep in mind. So all right, so we've done pretty good so far. We're about 54 minutes into the show. I told you guys we're gonna do like a very short Raw recap, and we pretty much blazed through that bad boy with freaking ease. And I want to get into the matches that came about from this week's AEW Dark Elevation. I won't spoil it for you guys, but here was the card for Dark Elevation. For those of you that maybe didn't get a chance to watch it yet, Nyla Rose and Emi Sakura took on Chris Statlander and Ryo Mizunami. Kazarian faced Victor Benjamin. Meanwhile, FTR faced Waves and Curlis. Riho faced Kayla Sparks. I think I actually might go out of my way and try to look at that particular match. Yeah, I might actually try to go and check out that particular match. Tay Conti faced Little Mean Kathleen. That's actually a really cool name, Little Mean Kathleen. I see. I gotta watch this. I want to see this Little Mean Kathleen. Is that their way of renaming Layla Hirsch? Because if not, yo, Little Mean Kathleen and Layla Hirsch, what's up? Let's call them the Little Devils. Just saying. Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, and Orange Cassidy took on the Acclaimed. And actually, hang on. Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, Orange Cassidy, yeah, the Acclaimed. That's pretty much it. I'm looking at the full card. I kind of feel as though I was missing a couple of matches, but no, that was it for this week's AEW Dark Elevation. For you WWE fans, love the network, or you're checking out the network on Peacock, check this out. Later this month, there's going to be a new episode of Broken Skull Sessions. It's going to be featuring Jeff Hardy. That should be a very eye-opening episode. Yeah, I'm eagerly anticipating that episode. Supposedly, it's going to be dropping on November 25th. But as we all know, since WWE has been doing this thing with Peacock now, stuff that has been slated to, it's changed. It's changed the week of, nope. Or a couple of weeks before or the day of, it doesn't happen. And you're like, what the hell is going on? So shit happens all the time. Almost kind of reminds me, I went this past weekend, actually. I went to my favorite comic book store and I was trying to pick up my latest stash. And I was told, one comic book in particular that I was trying to grab, Crossover. I'm a big fan of Crossover by Donny Cates. You have not read that, you're into the comics, check out Crossover by Image Comics. It's great shit. And I was talking to my guy that works there, and he was telling me, oh, yeah, he's like, you're looking for the latest issue of Crossover? You're trying to grab issue 9, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm looking at your subscription. He's like, yeah, I can't sell you Crossover number 9. I'm like, why? And he goes, oh, there is a paper shortage right now. And there were many comics that were affected under the publishing company as a result of the paper shortage. And we were instructed by Image Comics that we cannot release Crossover number 9. Apparently, they haven't printed out the necessary amount needed for their variant covers. So since they don't have it already yet due to the paper shortage, we can't sell Crossover number 9 until next week. I'm like, really? He's like, yes, the paper shortage that's been hitting a lot of your favorite comic publishing companies. I was like, wow. I mean, just crazy to hear that. So, and anybody that collects the comics, you know, shit changes like night and day. You think you're about to grab something, and then day comes, not this next week, or no, it's got pushed back to next month or whatever. It's kind of crazy what's going on. But when you look at the content on the WWE on Peacock and all that, as far as when it's supposed to be released, and boy, but when it's clicking, when it's working, when it's doing what it's supposed to do, especially as far as content being released on a specific date, when everything's just popping on all cylinders, it's great. But pencil that on your calendar. That's supposed to be dropping again, Jeff Hardy Broken Skull Sessions, supposed to be on November 25th. Also later this month, new season of Ruthless Aggression. If you were a fan of last season, there's going to be a second season, so check those out. Those should be pretty good. We'll talk Ring of Honor in just a hot second, but real quick, I got to give a special shout out to my Star Trek fans. I am definitely a Trekkie as well. And before anybody goes, geek, we're all geeks. Whether we're geeks for music, we're geeks for movies, we're geeks for video games, we're geeks for comic books, we're geeks for our sports. We all got some form of geekism in us. But seriously, I want to give thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family of Camille Saviola. She was known for her role as Kai Opaka on the Star Trek Deep Space Nine series. And of all the series that I grew up watching, I watched Star Trek, the original series, when it was in syndication as a kid. But as I was coming up as a child in the 80s going into the 90s, I grew up on Star Trek The Next Generation during its initial first run. Same was the case for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula. And I gotta tell you, of all the series, I love Next Generation, but when Deep Space Nine came about, Deep Space Nine for me, I man, love that series. Loved that series. It brought back so many fond memories, right down to the point I don't know for how many months now, but apparently Netflix has episodes, all the seasons of Next Generation and of Deep Space Nine. So I actually have found myself going back to Deep Space Nine and just, revisiting the episodes, because there actually were some episodes that I missed during the initial run. I probably missed about, because I used to watch Deep Space Nine religiously, I probably missed about, maybe I would say 5 episodes, give or take, during the entire run. It's probably about 5 episodes that I had missed. If you were to ask me particularly what I was so fond of with Deep Space Nine compared to Next Generation and the other shows, the diversity that was on the show. I mean, you had a lot of diversity that was going on there, especially given the fact that we had a black, I was going to say captain. He's actually a commander. He wasn't a captain. He was a commander. And I just love that. Avery Brooks as Benjamin Sisko. I mean, a very good, strong Starfleet officer that ultimately gets promoted to being a commander and all that. Just, it's a great series. If you're into the sci-fi and all of that, that's a show that, maybe you never had checked out. You definitely owe it to yourself to check it out. But Camille Saviola, she was known as Kai Opaka on the series. She passed away at the age of 71, and she made numerous television appearances over the decades. She mainly was known for her Broadway work. She was very big into theater and Broadway. Some of the TV shows that she was involved in, it includes ER. She also did Entourage, just to name a few. So, you may not know the name, but as soon as you see the face, you definitely are going to be like, oh, yeah. So, rest in peace. I know a lot of the Trekkie fans are taking that loss rather hard. AEW Rampage numbers are in for this past Friday's show. By the way, I thought it was just hilarious how I have some folks that read my Rampage review. As many of you guys know, you longtime listeners know, I usually provide live ongoing coverage for Rampage every Friday night on the 401 Mania site. And then I do a quick turnaround, and about 10-15 minutes after the show is over, I usually type up a review. I give additional thoughts on the product and everything. And this past week, apparently I had a lot of fans not liking the fact that I gave Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston a 5-star match, and the way that some people were proceeding to take my thoughts on the match. They thought I was giving the match a 5 out of 5 just for the fact that this was the best match that Eddie Kingston has had in AEW so far, and that's far from the truth. And I appreciated those that weren't necessarily trying to defend me, but more so say, look, he enjoyed the match much more than, some folks. That's his right. Just because he enjoyed the match more than you or I, it doesn't make him a bad guy. The match was definitely highly entertaining. It was really good. If he felt it was worthy of that, and I appreciate it. I really did appreciate those that were and you could tell who actually watched the product and those who did not watch the show that were just simply coming into the comment thread just to be complaining or whatever. It almost kind of reminded me of the old TNA days when I was behind the TNA Insider website and just some of the stuff that was coming about with the weekly Impact Wrestling reviews, TV reviews, and how you just, that's an entirely different story. But I always appreciate those that go out of my way to, read my stuff. But, if I could give any piece of advice, because I know some people that check out my stuff on 401 Mania became fans of the podcast that way. So that's why I'm going on and on about this. If I could give one piece of advice, pay attention to how many times I throw out 5 stars for these Rampage shows, because I don't throw them out like it's Halloween candy. I'm pretty tough. I remember there was one review that kicked in where another person was like, how can one match get a 5 and the other 2 matches get 4 out of 5 and the overall show is 8 out of 10? How the fuck does that make any sense? And it's kind of one of those, well, if I felt like it was an 8 out of 10, then it's a 8 out of 10. Why would I rate it any higher, right? Now, if maybe you want to say, okay, Lee, maybe it should have been an 8.5. I don't know about a 9, but maybe it should have been an 8.5. You could kind of, okay, I can definitely see that point. If you maybe want to say, that main event match between Britt Baker and Abaddon, I don't know about 4 stars. Maybe it should have actually been a 3-star match. Yeah, thinking about it in retrospect, and it's kind of rare I walk back on a rating, that's final. I would definitely say, if I could take it back, I would probably give that match a 3 out of 5 instead of a 4 out of 5. And yeah, that's how you get your 8 out of 10 rating that way. But it's always fun seeing the interactions that come in. You got some people that are a bunch of regulars that just, it's a great hangout group, honestly. I know some of the stuff I might have said might be a little, but if you're around on Friday nights, when Rampage is on, come hang out in the chat. People got the show on and they are just, doing the whole comment thing while the show is on and everything. It's pretty cool. But Rampage for this past Friday did pretty good. They brought in 623,000 viewers on TNT. Nice little jump from the previous episode, which did 533,000 viewers. And that's the show that they did on Friday. It's the highest since the Grand Slam episode going back to September 24th, when that respected episode had did 640,000 viewers. So it's pretty good. Congrats to them for that. As far as their 18 to 49 demo, I know you guys like following that type of stuff. Rampage did a 0.25 rating with 320,000 viewers. That's also up from the 0.22 rating and 288,000 viewers from the previous Rampage edition. Rampage had finished number 4 on cable this past Friday. SmackDown, which did their thing on FS1. Numbers got much stronger on FS1. They did 1.032 million viewers on FS1. Remember, they got preempted because of the World Series, but they're going to be back on Fox this coming Friday. As far as their 18 to 49 demo goes, they did a 0.29 rating with 373,000 viewers. So not too shabby. They finished number 3 on cable, behind only 2 NBA regular season games on ESPN. So that's pretty good. They did relatively good. So both shows Friday night, they did pretty good. Look, if we're going to continue to essentially see healthy competition coming about between SmackDown and AEW's Rampage on Friday nights, I am all fine for it. Look, at the end of the day, what fans care about the most is being entertained. They want the very best content that they can get. They want something that they can talk about. They want something that they can feel heavily invested in. So as long as fans are, able to get those incentives for these respected shows, then overall, I know I've been saying this like a broken record, but it's the truth. Overall, wrestling fans win in general. They win in general. If these shows are going to be in the near future competing for the demos, they're going to be competing for audiences and all that, I'm all fine for it. Nothing wrong with a little healthy competition, especially if it means you're bringing out the best in each other when it's all said and done. One thing that was very, very alarming, though, I must say, in regards to SmackDown, as decent of a number as they did this past week, as far as I'm concerned, they were exposed big time with no Roman Reigns on that show. Roman Reigns is essentially the entire centerpiece. Roman Reigns is pretty much the reason why, majority of people go in and, they watch this show. And without Roman Reigns, without Brock Lesnar, without Paul Heyman, you're watching this show and you're just going, You literally were. You're literally going, it just felt so naked without any of those guys that I had mentioned. It really, really was. It was very weird watching it. And then just in retrospect to just, what happened on SmackDown again? Normally, if Roman and them are on there, you normally can remember and everything that was built around it as a result. And this was kind of one of those rare occasions where I found myself going, I don't exactly remember what the hell was going. You feel me? So, how can WWE improve upon this? What can they do going forward? It's quite simple, honestly. I think that they just got to do. See, here's their problem. In case you haven't figured it out yet. By them not having Brock, by not having Roman, by not having Heyman, right? These are your essential core pieces, right? By not having them on the episode, you pretty much put yourself in a position where, okay, well, if these people aren't on here, who's up next? Who else you got? And really, the only other major arc that you had going on is the Sonya Deville Naomi thing. And, to each its own. Me personally, look, I'm happy for Naomi because it's getting her, the little camera TV time and all of that. I would be much more invested, though, if it was Naomi and Stephanie McMahon. Sonya Deville, look, I love Sonya Deville. I love her. I think she is a very attractive woman. And for the little bit of in-ring work that she had going on at the time, I thought she was, rather decent and everything. But, I'm just not fully invested in this particular program, as I am in other areas. Again, I'm happy for Naomi. I'm intrigued from the standpoint to see where exactly things are going here with Naomi. I'm wondering, okay, are we eventually going to pull the trigger here? And Naomi tries to get some help from the bloodline. Like what is the end result to this? That's the thing where I'm trying to figure out right now, where are we going with this and all? But, other than the Sonya Deville, Naomi, which for some is like, I'm good. you've got basically, all right, so you got nothing for me, right? Take away the Roman and all that. Like, you guys got nothing going on for me. So hopefully in due time, like when we go 2 months from now, 3 months from now, hopefully we're in a better position where, okay, no Brock, no Roman, no Heyman. Okay, no problem. Not only do we have these stars, but these great built-in storylines that we got going on is pretty much, you feel where I'm coming from? That's probably the biggest problem that that SmackDown is having right now, where I will say that when you go back over and you look at how things have been operating on the Raw side of things, even though a lot of times it's a little mediocre, at least you've got a lot of moving parts as far as story angles go over there on the Red brand. Hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. Shout out to Dan Housen. Dan Housen is injured right now, and not doing too good, but he's in good spirits. Him and Mance Warner, they both were injured at a NGW event in Tennessee, and Dan Housen went to social media to provide an update. Basically, he has a broken tibia and fibula. That's what's going on with him right now. So speedy recovery to him. And there is a guy that stays being in character 24/7. I tell you what. When it came to the Jericho Cruise, this guy, I mean, he fucking eats, sleeps, breathes this fucking character. This dude is just this dude, I got to give him his props as far as dedication goes, of constantly staying in character. Does a phenomenal job. And if you want to see some hilarious pics, just go Twitter or Instagram or whatever. And it was funny seeing him do his photo op, because they had him under Wrestling Legends as far as the photo ops go. Yes, you heard me right. They had him under the Legends category. And it was funny because he had like, not I don't think it was quite like my hat. He kind of had one of those, I'm trying to think of the hats. I'm trying to think of an actor, a famous actor. The type of hat isn't coming to me right now, but he kind of had a hat that I always look at it as the flat pumpkin hat. That's the way I've always described it, or the flat looking tomato hat. If you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, you got your fedoras and I can't quite think of the name of that hat that I'm thinking about right now, but you guys should know exactly what I mean when I say it's kind of like a tomato kind of hat, like but it was kind of like a crossbreed. It was a crossbreed between the type of hat I usually wear and what I just described. He was kind of wearing one of those type of hats. He had his makeup on and everything, and he had these big ass cool black shades on as he's taking pictures with folks, and it was fucking hilarious. But there's a guy that just stays dedicated to his character 24/7. I love that. But yeah, speedy recovery to him. Let's close out the show on this note, because we're going to be coming right back for Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's talk about Ring of Honor. So, some very sad Ring of Honor news that's come about in these past several days. This is my first time really speaking upon it since all the news had broke out. But Joe Koff, the COO of Ring of Honor, he had spoke with his entire roster over there at Ring of Honor. He spoke with the entire roster. He spoke with management, personnel, everybody involved, and said to them straight up, look, this is what's going on. And in a nutshell, Ring of Honor is going to be ceasing its operations. And, for the rest of the year, for the rest of this calendar year, they're going to be ceasing their operations. And the goal is to hopefully be back at some point in April of 2022. And with what he's being dubbed as saying is pretty much a rebirth, a revamp process, if you will. a relaunch of Ring of Honor. And as soon as he went from that meeting, he went to do an interview with, oh God, what's his name? He went to do an interview with Mike Johnson of PW Insider, and they also spoke for about a half hour. And a very deflated Joe Koff, a very defeated Joe Koff. You talk about hearing somebody that, man, this guy just got the fucking wind knocked out of him. He's trying to do his best to put on a nice little front. He's trying to do his best to put on that optimism face, but you can just hear it. You can feel it, and you're just like, shit. Dude just so defeated. So defeated. And, you know, look, not for nothing, but this wasn't his call. This was not his call to put Ring of Honor on hiatus. This was ultimately Sinclair Broadcasting's decision. His bosses. You know, this was their decision. And it really, you could tell, it really pained him that they were going in this direction. You know, he doesn't want to go in this direction, but he was quoted in that interview as basically saying, you know, what they're trying to do is they're trying to do a Ring of Honor 2.0. And of course, that's why, if you stop and think about it, that's why you saw a lot of jokes being made about Ring of Honor on social media. You know, NXT 2.0, and people were taking the Ring of Honor text and they were doing the rainbow NXT 2.0 splash to it and everything. Now you guys know what the hell was going on with all of that, because he was quoted in the interview as saying, you know, no, everything that we have known about Ring of Honor, we're just going to throw everything out and we're just starting from scratch. Yes, they are going to be starting from scratch. No more dark lighting from the production standpoint, the lightings and all of that. Everything is being totally revamped. All these talents pretty much were told, look, you know, we know you guys, you got to go do your thing. You got to go and make your money. You got to somehow continue to put food on the table for yourself and your family. You guys are all released. You all can go do whatever you need to go do. And I mean, you just hear that and you're just like, wait, what the fuck? And look, Ring of Honor, not the same product that it used to be. That's the God's honest truth. You know, right down to the point, there's a reason why I don't normally talk about Ring of Honor on a weekly basis. You know, you think that's me just showing some type of favor? No, not at all. Not at all. It's much like with Impact Wrestling when it's all said and done. You know, there used to be a time where, you know, there was a nice sizable chunk of an audience that cared about what was going on with promotions like Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling. But over time, those numbers just continue to decline. And, okay, why talk about a product that can barely crack 100K viewers? Why talk about a product that can barely crack social media engagements, impressions, you know, the likes, the retweets and all of that? You know, why talk about a promotion that is so limited in its television syndication as not many house? Ring of Honor is nowhere near the Ring of Honor that I remember watching. And I go back with Ring of Honor. I go back with Ring of Honor 2009. 2009, I go back with Ring of Honor. And when we first began podcasting in 2011, there was still a lot of buzz. There was still a lot of good things about Ring of Honor. And just even looking from 2011 to now, night and day. night and day. So where did things go wrong with Ring of Honor when it's all said and done? Where did things go wrong with them? How could they ultimately meet this demise that is pretty much going on right now, right? Because this really is, no bullshit, it really is the rise and fall of Ring of Honor. So what went wrong here? You know, first off, I think it's very admirable that Ring of Honor did their very best to say, okay, when the pandemic first went down, okay, all our talents, we're going to do our very best to keep them all on payroll. We're going to do our very best not to let anybody go. You know, we're going to try to figure out what's going on with this pandemic and for everybody's health, for everybody's safety. Nah, man, we're not going to be doing any shows. We're going to make sure that, hell, even if we are allowed to do our thing at a venue, we're not doing it. So Ring of Honor, at the start of that pandemic, they were on hiatus for several months. I remember that. They were on hiatus for several months. I could recall seeing a lot of best of compilations that was going on with the promotion at the time for many, many months. And then when they did decide, okay, we're going to relaunch, we're going to bring the product back, they brought it back and they were in empty arenas. You're like, okay, all right, well, empty arena, okay, it is what it is. And you're like, okay, that's, you know, but just look at things from a monetary standpoint. Okay, a monetary standpoint. Sure, Sinclair Broadcasting, they've got all these millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and it's just a drop in the bucket. They can easily afford this. They can keep everybody on the payroll. They can do, you know, but like at the end of the day, hate to say this, but it always comes down to that almighty dollar. And that's great that you're finally back from all the craziness that went down at the peak of the pandemic. That's great that you took those months off. You kept everybody on the payroll. That's all great. But when you did decide to do the relaunch, okay, remember, you know, real talk, Ring of Honor, their, you know, main operations is based out here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. They're doing their thing in Baltimore. Sinclair Broadcasting, their main headquarters is out here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Okay. So all these talents that they needed to do these Ring of Honor shows. Oh yeah, come on. We'll fly you out here. We'll take care of your hotel accommodation. So you're throwing more money out there, and you're not even recouping a fraction of that money at the live gates because you've got no fans in attendance. You're not selling tickets. So the totality of all of that. And then, you know, when you're under the impression, okay, well, when we get ready to do these little pay-per-views, that'll, sorry. Right. So the totality of all of these things further expedited what ultimately has become of Ring of Honor as we know today. Make no mistake about it, Ring of Honor was definitely having issues before the pandemic. We talked about some of those things right here. Lord knows that some of the stuff that was going on with the promotion during the Me Too movement, some significant black guys. Has anybody forgot in addition to that, has anybody forgotten the stuff that was going on there with Kelly Klein, who we haven't really heard from since all that shit had went down? So, you know, there was already Ring of Honor. Let's make no mistake about it. Ring of Honor already had some black eyes, some bruises, and then some missing teeth, and then some before the pandemic even went down. It's just sadly, you know, the best analogy that I could use for Ring of Honor before the pandemic, they basically had I'm gonna use this analogy because this is the first thing that came into mind. They basically were on a boat in the middle of the sea, and they had a freaking hole in their boat, and they had Flex Seal. I can't believe I'm going there, but they have Flex Seal. And so here they are, they're doing their best to hurry up, take that Flex Seal, and the numerous holes that's in that boat, they're going in and they're pretty much patching it up when for real, they need to freaking get that boat to the nearest shore ASAP, right? They need to fucking park that bitch on land ASAP and get off of it and maybe just look into buying a new boat. Sure, that boat is going to cost you a pretty penny, but long-term wise, you're going to have a more dependable, reliable boat that has better durability. But Ring of Honor loves this particular boat, and they just, we're just going to patch it up. We'll just patch it up. That's it. And then when the pandemic hit, okay, so on top of these holes that you're continuing to get with the boat, now you're having engine problems, rotator issues, your steering brake is right. And now it's just, okay, really, dude, really, this boat has no business being out at sea. You really need to take this boat and just fucking, right. And then ultimately they get flagged by, let's say, the boat patrol police. And they're pretty much like, yo, you got no business with this boat out here at sea. Nah, yo, we're gonna freaking put you on our boat and we're just gonna confiscate this boat because this is a huge liability. Yeah, no. That's how I look at everything that has come about with Ring of Honor. That's the best analogy. Hopefully you were able to follow. That's the best analogy that I can use with regards to Ring of Honor. Another thing that truly was not helpful for Ring of Honor, and I see this big misconception that's running out there. A lot of people keep going, oh, well, when Cody Rhodes, when the Bucks, when Omega, when they did that all-in pay-per-view, they were, the Visionary, the Magnificent, I get that. But that was a pay-per-view that was fully funded and backed by Ring of Honor / Sinclair broadcasts. Why you think you've never seen another pay-per-view called All In? Think about that for a second, okay? As far as the rights distribution and who owns the footage and all of that ties to Sinclair broadcasts, okay? So ROH being in that position where they had the Bucks, they had Kenny Omega, access to him at least, Cody, and just all of those names that I mentioned, and all of those guys, whether they were dealing with ROH or they had a deal going on with New Japan, all of those guys' contracts essentially coming up at the same time, and they all decided, okay, you know what, we're done right here. We're just going to go on ahead, and we got this great opportunity to go over here to this other promotion and start this up from the ground up, and we get some nice perks being attached to this company, and that definitely did not help with Ring of Honor. You look at that infamous Ring of Honor pay-per-view that was booked at MSG. Yeah, no shit that it probably had sold out. That bad boy most likely sold out because people were just foaming at the mouths of the idea, I'm going to see Cody, I'm going to see Omega, I'm going to see the Bucks, I'm going to see, right? But hindsight being 2020, I'm sure most fans, I'm sure the tickets probably would have been, they wouldn't have sold out. They would not have sold out. There are so many business decisions that, in retrospect, really hurt Ring of Honor for the long term. Just poor decisions, one poor decision after another, and just the totality of it when it's all said and done is how and why Ring of Honor got themselves in this predicament that they're in right now. You say to me that this promotion is going away and they're going to try to, rebrand itself, revamp itself and all of that. And honestly, I'm going to give it to you guys. I'm going to give it to you guys right between the eyes. I've never been a fan of Sinclair broadcasts behind Ring of Honor. I've never been a fan of it whatsoever. Because, and I've said this for years, the one thing that I can't stand about Sinclair Broadcasting is that, yeah, that's great that they did what they did in those areas and trying to work with the Codys and the Bucks and all of that, doing All Loud. And, that's great that they did all of those things. But at the same time, Sinclair Broadcasting is also, I'll call it for what it is, but to me, they've always came off as a tightwad when it comes to opening up the wallet. They've always came off very, we really don't want to put the money out here. We're happy with what we got. We're happy that we just got this little thing called wrestling. We're just happy that we got that and we're just content. And see, that's the biggest problem. When one is content, evolution passes you by. Plain and simple. Always goes down like that. When you stop evolving, when you stop trying to learn more about your craft, learn more about your industry, what you're doing for, when you just, no, I'm good right here. I'm content. I'm good. That is how evolution passes you by. And that is exactly what is. Think about this. Real talk for a second. Think about this. Ring of Honor has been around for how many years? This is a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer that. But just stop and think to yourselves. Ring of Honor has been around for how many years? And you were just, man, when are they going to get a TV deal? When are they going to get their opportunity? When are they going to get that USA network? When are they going to get that Spike TV or that Access TV deal? And yet, here comes AEW, a unproven entity, a unproven commodity, have not built any extended portfolio of, okay, look, not only cash flow positive, not only, look at our demos, look at our views, look at our social media engagement, look at how much monetization we're able to bring in here. Yeah, man, we're really, we got something here, right? No extended portfolio, nothing. And they were able to get not just any old cable TV deal. These guys were able to hook up with Turner Sports. And Ring of Honor has just all this time. That tells you all you need to know as far as Ring of Honor goes. That tells you all you need to know. Looking at how NWA was setting itself up right before the pandemic, and look, not for nothing, that was a huge monkey wrench, the pandemic I'm speaking about, for the NWA. But you see, they've been able to pretty much pick up from that momentum that they had before the pandemic went down, and they've been able to build off of it, and they just, they're catching a lot of steam. Most positive way, they were catching a lot of steam again. It's quite sad. It's quite sad to see what has become of Ring of Honor. And dare I say, when I look at what's become of Ring of Honor, look, you can take it any way you want to take it. You can take it any way you want to take it. AEW, to me, I like everything that's going on with AEW. But if you really kind of take a step back and you look at all the people that they pretty much have signed to their roster, you could almost make an argument that AEW has become a glorified indie fed, that they have become a glorified independent wrestling promotion. You want your WWE? It's right here. You want your ROH? It's right here. You want your GCW? It's right here. Oh, you want a little bit of shine and shimmer? It's right here. You want a little bit of NWA? It's right here. You want a little bit of Impact? Oh, yeah, it's right here. You want a little bit of WXW? We got a little bit of that here, too. You want a little bit of AAA? Oh, yeah, that's here, too. They have become the, truly, when you think about what Tony Khan has been saying as far as, the forbidden door, yeah. And at the same time, you could almost look at what has become with the rise of AEW. I'm just saying. I'm giving you guys a couple of different ways you could look at this. You take it how you want to take it. I'm just helping you look at all the paths here of thinking. You could literally look at everything that's been going on with AEW, and you could essentially say that to some extent, AEW is kind of responsible here in a way for the demise of Ring of Honor. You could also make an argument that unless you're WWE, unless you're AEW, unless you're MLW, NWA, did I already mention GCW? Because GCW, they've been picking up some serious steam. I'll also throw in there New Japan and Stardom. Unless you're any of those promotions here in 2021 and beyond, as great as it is that you've got such diversity, so many options as far as what promotions you can check out, at the same time, it's also become a case where unless you're any of those handful of names that I just mentioned, it's really hard to go in and try to carve out your own little niche on that island and get your own respected following and all of that good stuff. So, you could almost say that AEW has also, dare I say, hurt the independents a little bit. Food for thought, but you could definitely, for every pro argument you can make about AEW, there's also a con argument that you can make for AEW as well. I'm just helping you guys. You notice I'm not picking a side. I'm just helping you guys really understand how you should be looking at a lot of this stuff that, you're seeing right here. But, I can remember before I got into podcasting, I can remember how I would spend my nights at my old security job working the graveyard shifts, and I particularly was very fond of Friday and Saturday nights because I would have my laptop open and I would be on the Ring of Honor website, and I'm just waiting for that next episode of ROH to drop so I could pretty much stream it and everything in between my rounds and all. And I could just remember way back then how things were just so slow with ROH as far as being on top of the new episodes for its paying members, and just saying, wow, what the fuck? Yeah, Ring of Honor, they'll tell you real quick, well, hey, way before WWE started doing this thing with the network, not for nothing, we were first. And yeah, you might have been first, but WWE definitely made sure that their shit out of the gate was on point. It's the truth. They never, right down to the point, you even look at when it comes to ROH doing interviews. I can remember early on in my podcasting career, and when it came to interview requests, I can remember ROH, when you try to reach out to them to see about getting interviews with their talents to try to help put over whatever pay-per-view they had coming up or whatever, or just put over the product, period. The people that they had at that time, working behind the scenes, not just ice cold, no responses whatsoever. And to a certain degree, ROH is still kind of operating that way, to a certain degree. Even today, as far as really embracing evolution, being in front of the 8 ball per se, ROH has poorly continued to do a bad job. And this is how ultimately, they get themselves in this position. You can tell me that they're going to do XYZ, this 2.0, oh, the lighting, oh, this is going to change, that's going to change. This is, we're talking about cosmetic stuff. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about appearances. What are we doing behind the scenes? What are we doing as far as management goes? What is Sinclair Broadcasting? Ultimately, you get the impression that Sinclair Broadcasting is giving out this mandate and saying, look, we're not making any money. Let's just forget about all of this and, what can we do to start making some money? And you can commend Sinclair Broadcasting for, having that mindset, but you got to spend. You got to be prepared to spend in order to. It's no different. I'll leave you with this. It's no different than probably the number one question I get from time to time is from those that are very interested in beginning a career in podcasting. One of the first questions I'll usually get is, hey, what can I do to try to be a successful podcaster? What's the tips? What's the tricks? What's the trades to the secret? What can I do to be a good podcaster? And one of the first things I always say is, well, prepare yourself. You're most likely not going to be making any money from this for the first 4 to 5 years. If you are going into this thinking, oh, I'm going to make mad money, you're already defeated. You're already defeated, okay? Right? Because a lot of the podcasts that do decide, okay, we're going to, first it's out of love because they have a passion, they got a little knack for it, right? So it all just pretty much stems from that. But I usually tell folks, I say, if you're going into this for the money, you better clock out right now because, it's going to be a good minute. Unless you are very well connected, you ain't making no money off the break. So that's number one. And the second thing I always say is, speaking of money, be prepared. You're going to have to spend money in order to really be taken seriously. If you really care, I get it. We got some people, this is my 2000th episode. Well, I'm sure it is, especially when you are releasing shows 7 days a week. But my question is, okay, so as opposed to the quantity, what's up with the quality of the shows? Because the quality wins every day of the week. The hell with the quantity. The hell with how many shows you put out. What's going on with the quality, right? But I always tell folks, you got to be prepared to spend money in order to make sure your production game and all that is on point. If you're not willing to invest money into your equipment that you're going to need, into potential software that you're going to need, outside equipment as far as recording stuff, if you're not prepared to go in and spend a little money, you might as well clock out right now. And so I look at Sinclair Broadcasting, and for me, those are just a lot of the things that's been screaming to me for so many years. It's no different than when Sinclair Broadcasting was behind the relaunch of the Arsenio Hall show. I remember being on our podcast talking about it. And, a lot of you all probably don't even know this. But Arsenio Hall, his show, it did come back. It did come back for a brief time, and it was in syndication on Sinclair Broadcast Networks some years back. New episodes, mind you. And Arsenio Hall was doing pretty damn good. He had did a handful of months of shows and they were good. And then he went on vacation, and pretty much the word on the street was that he personally heard from the Sinclair Broadcasting people was, you're going to be coming back for another season. And, there's just some things that we want switched around. And Arsenio Hall and his writers, they were working out the kinks and everything. And then they found out during their vacation, I think they were probably about a couple of weeks away from going back to the studio to begin filming new episodes. And then they all basically read online that the show had been canceled by Sinclair Broadcasting. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what the hell happened? Like, we were just given the green light. What happened? Sinclair Broadcasting decided that when it came time to renew Arsenio Hall, even though initially they were on board, there were a couple of advertisers that decided, okay, you know what? Excuse me. We're not really seeing any real monetization opportunity from this show, so we're going to pull out. And it was just a couple that had pulled out. Sinclair Broadcasting could have easily, okay, well, you know what? That's their loss. We can easily go in, grab some guys that can, maybe are interested in partnering up with us, being some advertising affiliates, and, we can kind of make up the revenue that way. And, okay, what type of a marketing strategy can we do this go round? How can we make things more popular for the show? Yada, 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 yada. Because they had lost a couple of advertiser affiliates, they just decided, okay, you know what? We're just going to go on ahead and cancel the show, because otherwise we're going to have to come out of our pockets and, right? So for me, to a degree, they've always been very cheap, is the point that I'm making. My honest takeaway, all these years watching the ROH product, learning what I've been learning from Sinclair Broadcasting, they've always came off as being cheap bastards. And now I'm supposed to believe that Sinclair Broadcasting is finally putting their foot down, and they really, truly want the very best. They truly have the best intentions in mind for ROH. Proof is in the pudding, and I need to see the end result. So forgive me if I'm not being optimistic right now, because, unless we're going to be seeing some people at the top lose their jobs and some new, fresh, innovative minds are coming into play, shit is shit. Even if you dress it up, now instead of crappy Wonder Bread, we're using wheat bread, non-GMO, HMO, whatever the fuck that shit is, right? It's like, that shit is still shit. You can put seasoned salt in it, you can put mustard, you can put chives, you can put sour cream, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Shit is still shit. Sound off. Let me know what you think. All right, quick programming notes. Tuesday night, November 2nd, I'm going to be live with you guys. We'll be talking NWA Power Fallout. I will actually be live at 7:05 p.m. Eastern after NWA Power goes off the air. So if you're around, tune in. And by the way, I saw the metrics. I was looking at the metrics the other day, and it was refreshing to see that you guys that are checking out my NWA shows, that you're also going out of your way to check out the NWA channel on YouTube. So I think that's awesome that you guys are, and I will definitely make sure I start mentioning because I'm not paid by them. It's just a nice little gesture I'm doing, but I'll definitely make sure that going forward, I start mentioning, hey, you might be able to see some highlights, and usually you can see a couple of highlights on the NWA YouTube channel too. But I thought that was pretty cool that you guys that are watching my NWA stuff, you're also going to the NWA channel. So I like that. That's pretty cool. So we'll be live at 7:05 p.m. Eastern for that. Just straight up NWA Power Talk. And then Wednesday, I'll be live with you guys after Dynamite goes off the air. We'll be live at 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll cover Fallout from Dynamite. We'll also go over key points from this week's NXT, as it's going to be the fallout from the Halloween Havoc episode. Check out Chucky, by the way. I watched the first episode of Chucky, the new TV series. I like it. It's actually pretty damn good. I'm a couple episodes behind. I think now I'm like 3 episodes behind, because I think they just released, or they're about to release, episode 4. I think this Tuesday on Sci-Fi, if I'm not mistaken. So, but I watched the first episode. I actually watched it on Halloween with the wifey, and wifey, she's funny. She doesn't care for Halloween movies. She just doesn't. Like, it's weird because she can't get into that, but she can kind of get into the diddly women, or maybe she's just tolerating that shit because she knows I like it. I don't know what it is, but I remember afterwards I asked her, I said, "You want to watch another Chucky episode?" She said, "Yeah, nah." I'm like, "What, you don't like it?" Like, she's like, it's okay. She's like, "I'm not really a fan of this type of shit though." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And but no, I liked it. I think it's actually a really cool series. So go out of your way, check it out. It's been doing some pretty decent numbers so far. Written pretty good. See, Chucky. So we mentioned Wednesday. Yeah, Patreon content. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out more bonus audio, video content. Won't be able to find anywhere else. You made it up to this point. Please, as you're making your exit, make sure you hit that like. You haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Click on that bell notification so you always know when we're live for you guys. I love when we are able to do a show and it's under 2 hours. That's badass. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And until next go round, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round very, very soon, as a matter of fact. So see y'all next go round. Take care. Peace.